From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and Chief Digital Strategist at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's podcast, I have my good friend, Mr. Jan Koch, with me from Germany, and we're going to talk all about AI. Grab a drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy the amazing conversation Jan and I had. Thank you very much for listening to the SDM Show. The SDM Show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital concierge. For all your digital marketing needs, especially WordPress security, jump on over to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and let's help you put the pieces together and make your business succeed in the marketing realm. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. And in today's show, I have my good friend, Mr. Jan Koch from Germany with me. How are you, Jan?
Really good. Good to see you again, Rob.
It's always good to see you. We were just talking before we went to record. We've had to reschedule this a couple of times. You know, life gets in the way, doesn't it, my friend?
It sure does, especially when you have two young kids.
Two young kids, and in this case here, an older guy who's gone through his own health problems. So, you know, as I said to you, I hope all is well, and let's just keep making it well. Family's everything we work for, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I became an entrepreneur in the first place, actually.
Yeah, it's so true. We're going to talk AI today, and the conversation will probably get interesting. Talk a little bit about some things you're doing. How did you get into AI? And I know you and I met, let's preface that by, in the WordPress space many, many years.
Right.
We've known each other a long time. We stay in touch. We have LinkedIn chats that seem to go on for days or weeks, depending on the mood we're in, right? And how'd you end up transitioning from WordPress to AI?
It started in 2019. At the end of 2019, I stumbled upon a tool back then called Conversion AI, now better known as Jasper. And I was one of the first 100 people who got it on the platform and who got to play with it. And I realized back then this thing would speak English as good as I can. And granted, I'm not a native English speaker, but I know my way around the English language. And I realized back then that AI was going to be big in terms of marketing and things like that. So I started playing around with that in my day-to-day. And sooner than later, I started writing code with AI. And I saw that somehow in the WordPress industry, it wasn't picked up as much as it was in other places. And then something really interesting happened. Interesting from my perspective, bad for the person that happened it to. A friend of mine inherited a business. So his stepfather passed away unexpectedly, and then there was a CEO put in place because everything was arranged for the worst case scenario. That CEO, after like 10 months, maybe a year, got a burnout and almost drove the business into the ground before that. So my buddy had to jump in and try to rescue the company. And it was a small business, like 20 people. They were a big retailer for fish and other fresh foods that had to be delivered in cool trucks. So everything had to be just in time and very, very, very well organized. And that was tricky because when he came into the business, even though he worked there before for a couple of years to help out, he didn't know jack squat about what the day-to-day was about. So he didn't know what contracts were in place. He didn't know who was in charge for which customer. He didn't know the order schedules. He knew nothing. So he came to me, that was end of 2022, early 2023. Is there a way to use AI to help me with this, to organize the knowledge that we have in the business? And that was the time where this thing called retrieval augmented generation came up, where you train it, or not really training AI, but you give AI a body of knowledge. And instead of the AI pulling from the data it has been trained on or researching in the web, it just draws the answers from this body of knowledge that you gave it. And that's what we started working on back then. And now we transitioned into a different industry, which we might get to talk about later on. But that's how I got started outside of WordPress with AI.
That's really interesting. And the lesson in all this is with your buddy's father passing away is if you're running a business, make sure you have a bit of a succession plan if something happens to you, right? We all get sick and things happen. And, that's just the way it goes. I mean, even I've been through some health problems. So we all, as entrepreneurs, we all got to prepare for that eventuality. I hate to say it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun, but luckily that's also something I personally can use AI to help with, and I see others do the same. So there's the obvious things like making sure somebody else has access to your accounts. Use a password manager and share the login with somebody you trust. Maybe another person in the business, maybe family member or a close friend or somebody if you're a solopreneur. Make sure that somebody can access the bank accounts, the billing systems, everything that renews at some point in terms of license fees. That needs to be taken care of. But then the more tricky thing, at least in my book, is how do I make sure that person also knows what's happening in the day to day?
Yeah. Right.
So I write a documentation whenever something new gets added to the business, like we're building a new component in the SaaS, I'm hiring somebody new, I'm introducing a new tool. I'm documenting that using AI. So I just feed the bullet points into AI, it writes a full-blown document, and then I store it somewhere.
Yeah, so true. Good idea. AI is interesting because I've been saying for months, AI's been around since before we coined the term AI, like
Yeah.
real. And I'll take in part and check Photoshop. Photoshop has had AI built-in capabilities for managing photos forever. Packages like Descript, which a lot of podcasters use to do their show notes before it was called AI, has been out there to do our show notes for us. So I know the phrase has become all the buzzword, and we can thank the folks over at ChatGPT for that, right? Really.
Yeah.
There's so much more to AI than ChatGPT.
It is. And what I see all across the globe really is that due to the economic downturn that we are all facing, I see businesses cutting costs left, right, and center, like everywhere. I was attending a politics meeting the other day, like 2 weeks ago, and we had the president from a big metal production association, like all the big producers in Germany that are in automotive and producing something with steel or with electronic goods. He was the president of their association, and he brought some numbers with him.
Mhm.
For the first time in 15 years, the Germans themselves say Germany won't be one of the top leading nations in 10 years. For the first time in 15 years, the Germans classify themselves as an unattractive economic place to be. Then yesterday there was a future-oriented festival called Grow Morrow here in the area.
Mhm.
And we had one of the biggest investors here called Frank Thelen, who was kind of like the Mark Cuban of Germany, if you will. He's been pretty big. He's doing something like Shark Tank here in Germany as well. And he said that Germany has never been more unsupporting of small business and founders. It's never been as expensive. And for the region where I live, 63% of people that are employed work in something related to automotive. And automotive is on the floor here in Germany because we missed the boat with electric mobility and things like that. And Dr. Schmidt, the president of the association, said the other day, as I had a call with him, that the production costs in Germany are 300% higher than even just Romania. Don't get me started about all the other even further east countries,
It's
even
on
just Romania.
it's on the floor everywhere, actually. Like Canada is a big in the Toronto area, we have a couple big GM plants, and
Mhm.
they're just putting some more electrical stuff into Canada. But as a rule, the automotive industry has struggled, and the reason is cars are now being made in places like Korea and places like out of traditional car manufacturing places. And I think that has been a big impact on it too. And even in China, they make their own little EVs right in China now.
And they are competitive.
Yeah.
They aren't bad. And the thing is that we talk about all these big industries, and listeners might be wondering, why is he talking about that? What does that have to do with my own business? But those big juggernauts in the industry on the global market, they trickle down. They feed all those smaller businesses, and then there's another layer below that feeds the clients that you are working for. And suddenly those companies don't get paid anymore, and they can't pay us in return, and therefore we need to cut costs. In Germany, there's this dichotomy where at some scale companies need to cut costs, so they are letting go of people. On the other side of the coin, they are trying to hire for different positions and they can't find people because there's a massive shortage of skilled labor here. So what are we left to do?
Yeah,
There is only AI to fix this.
it's so true. And the other thing we got to realize, it's funny, like when I think about AI and I sort of think about it, everybody thinks of the two things that come to mind right away, or three things. One is ChatGPT, right? And we know about the ChatGPT shit show with the CEO leaving and coming back and that whole
Right.
and part of that, what brings that on is ChatGPT is a nonprofit company, but their parent company is a for-profit company. And every time we do this, do I say WordPress all over again? You know what happens, right?
Right.
It's a bit of
There's always room for drama.
there's always room for drama. And then you've got the mess. And then when I think AI right away, the two things that come to my mind beyond ChatGPT is Midjourney, which everybody
Hmm.
uses for photos. And then the third thing that comes to my mind, because I'm a Google user and a Pixel user, is Gemini. And then
Right.
so I'm kind of been all in with Gemini for a number of months just because I'm already in the Google ecosystem. I'm already playing with it. Do you have any thoughts around those kind of tools?
I don't think the difference is as big now as it was just 12 months ago. And I think that the difference between the tools will become even closer. And I think at some point we will not be able to distinguish. I personally use GPTs a lot, ChatGPT. I
Mhm.
started using the new Grok
Yep.
2 Mini. That's fun. That's good for brainstorming sessions and things like that. Mostly what we rely on the business front is the ChatGPT API, or we use offline models like the Llama 3.1 or something like that, because we've got some clients. One of them is in the logistics space. They work with companies under very, very heavy NDAs that are in sensitive areas like military, for example.
Yep.
So nothing can leave their servers for those clients. So we have to use offline. The other client that we use it for is in the medicine space.
Same problem.
So when you work on medical data and personal data at the same time, you have to be really, really careful. Otherwise, it becomes expensive really fast.
Especially when the lawyers get involved, need to say more, right? I mean,
Right.
I don't know if you know, but I worked in IT and healthcare for 21 years. So
I had no idea.
I understand which one of Toronto's biggest hospitals. So I understand that deal more than most people. And in a lot of respects, and I hate to say it, the medical field is so far behind on privacy laws. Like
Mhm.
there a lot of them still use things like fax machines because they think they're secure. They're not secure.
They are not storing the facts in digital form on the machine. No, they would never do that.
No, 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 not. Do you know in Canada, in Ontario, it only became because of COVID that pharmacists could take requests for prescription refills by email recently?
It's very similar here, yeah.
And now they can because COVID changed all that. But I mean, I'm sorry, there's no data concern if I send my pharmacy and say refill the script and refill the script. What do you mean?
In Germany, they are rolling it back now because they want the people in the pharmacies again. But yeah, and I feel like you're hitting the nail on the head right now because the situation that I see with our leads and our businesses is they are so occupied with putting fires out everywhere
Yep.
that they don't have the bandwidth to think about any strategic decision making. They know AI is a big thing. They know their competition is using AI. I was just meeting this morning with a logistics company CEO. They are technologically ahead of the game because they are a business that gets asks asked by Mercedes, by Scania, by MAN, all these big truck companies send their newest model to his company for real world test drives. Like Michelin, the tire company, they did a test for a tire where they said one tire, one truck. So they had this tire a truck could drive 500,000 kilometers on. That's like 360-ish thousand miles roughly. And then the tire would go into the Michelin factory, would get refurbished, would only receive 5% new material, 95% reuse, and they would drive it for another 450,000 kilometers. That's the level of standing they have with the producers.
Yeah.
And he can only talk about AI with me, and we are going to do some workshops most likely, and they're test driving the platform and stuff. But he could only talk about this because he's getting ready to retire and he's pulling himself out of the day to day. Most people, they know it's important, but they don't make the time for it because they think putting out the fire now is more important than preventing the fire tomorrow.
Isn't that always the case in technology? I hate to say it. I mean, whether you're doing AI, whether you're doing support, whether you're doing day-to-day operations, I've seen this time and time again. Companies don't invest in the future because they're too busy squandering now. And if they invested in the future, they would be 10 times better off than where they are. So no question.
Yeah.
So let's jump in. What are you working on right now? Can you share?
Yeah, so we've got a SaaS business in the logistics industry, and to set the stage, in Germany, the dispatchers at the logistics business coordinate via WhatsApp with their drivers, and most often also with their contractors and with their customers. So they receive, let's say, WhatsApp or an email with a PDF that says truck A has to go from here to here, pick up this type of freight, deliver it to this place and this place. What we do is we go into the PDF, we extract all the important data, we notify the truck driver who's assigned to this tour about the data on WhatsApp. We monitor the entire conversation the driver has with the dispatcher so that we always know, okay, is there a problem? Is the truck on time? Things like that. And that's 50% of the solution. The other 50% is we hook into the CAN bus system. So this is a system installed on every single truck. All the truck models, what they do is they have IoT devices that you would get blue in the face. So you can monitor obviously GPS and mileage and things like that. You can monitor the percentage the gas pedal is put down. You can monitor how many meters the brake was applied. You can monitor every single thing. And what we do is we pick up that data, put it into context with what the customer and what the truck driver and the dispatcher are communicating on WhatsApp, and we build a real-time dashboard where color-coded green, yellow, red, the dispatcher gets on one glance can see, okay, I need to take care of this truck is delayed. These 10 trucks, they are fine, they are on time, everything's working smoothly, and we save them from having to juggle 3 or 4 tools at the same time to get the same information.
How is the interest in this in the industry on this new SaaS product?
We've got one pilot client who is raving about it.
Good.
They have like 250 trucks roughly, and the trucks usually do at least one tour a day. And then in the afternoon, they receive the tour for the next day. We see this man I met with the morning. He is the president of one of the truckers associations. So he was quite open about it. It probably isn't the best fit for his style of business, but he's going to organize that I can speak in front of the association and tell them what we do with AI so that the business and the market gets an idea. Overall, it's a very conservative market. Like with most industries, they are really set in how it has worked for the past 15, 20 years. They resist change a little bit.
Oh, just
But once they see the dashboard and once they see the demo data flickering up and seeing updates in real time and seeing colors change, then they start to see, oh, this is how I would use it in my business. This is how it would actually save my dispatchers, how I can I probably don't need to hire two more dispatchers to keep up with market demand, or I can probably let go of two to save my company because I can reduce the cost. Because a dispatcher in Germany, that's 70,000 euros in salary per year.
Mhm.
They make really good money because they are in high pressure situations. So if a company can let go of one or two, it's obviously bad for the person. But I'd rather save the company and let two people go than have 10 or 20 people become jobless.
So true. In terms of financial, and I'm not going to ask you numbers because that would be unfair and that, but I will ask, is this financially going to be financial revenue generating for you? And obviously it's going to save the truck companies using it money because it'll save them a dispatcher, but is it worth it?
Right. Yeah, it's a fun model. It's like you know the 10x rule for how you set prices, that you deliver at least 10x the value. We are above that in terms of our pricing. We deliver more than 10x.
Oh, good. So, how long have you been working on this project, Jan?
This one is for 3 months now, and we are close to finishing the version so that we can roll it out across the market in an automated funnel. Right now, it's really one-to-one, getting the first, let's say, 25 customers on the platform. And by then, it will be a six-figure business on our end already.
Are you using developers, I would assume, offshore somewhere?
Mhm. Yeah, I do have multiple offshore, so we've got a team of 40 people right now because I've raised some business angel money, and one of the business angels has 13 other businesses, one of which by accident is a software development agency that has worked in automotive, and we can tap into their resources at any time.
Is that, I take it running a team of 40 has some project management challenges for you at the best of times?
Rarely, because they've got really capable project managers, and usually I just meet with them every once in a while, and we make sure everything's running in place. And then I do have a developer that's working outside of that arrangement, and with him I coordinate more closely for some urgent fixes and some things like that. But it's really smooth usually.
And I have to go here, and you'll smile at me because you know what my business is focused on. How's the security issues running a SaaS product in this day and age? I
Yeah.
knew you were going to chuck
It
it.
is, it is relevant, of course. We have a couple of ways to deal with this. So with our clients in the medical space and the other logistics client I talked about earlier, we set up the system on premise in their network.
Mm.
So essentially, I hand off all responsibility to them.
Oh,
And I just make sure the platform keeps running on their end. It's more knowledge management platform, so retrieve augmented generation rather than this logistics truck management thing. For the SaaS that manages the trucks, it's interesting. On the good thing is there's not much real personal data that's being used. It's just the number plate of the truck, go to Aldi and deliver to Coca-Cola,
yeah.
something like that. That's pretty straightforward. That's pretty easy. We do have our measures, of course, and the agency also has a pen testing department that when we are ready and when we see the need to get certified, we could do that in-house.
Yeah, I would suggest getting certified because it's the whole perception out there. We all saw what happened to Cloudflare, not Cloudflare, sorry, CrowdStrike recently.
CrowdStrike, yeah.
And to be fair, I mentioned Cloudflare, but they've had some hacking problems too. So I mean, there's been all kinds of stuff. Like if I had a dollar for every hacked article I read this morning, I
Yeah.
would have retired like a year ago. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
it's
It
getting
is, but on the other hand, I think that there's a trade-off.
yeah,
Right now, we are at the stage where I say we take care of security and please trust us,
yep,
because I don't want to invest the money to get certified because that is an expensive process.
yep.
At some point, you are right, we will need to, and probably that will be because the ultimate goal is to sell that platform eventually and to have an exit. And when we get ready for those conversations, we will need to be certified in order to be an attractive
But
purchase.
there's the key. I love you saying that. So you're pretty upfront. Your goal is not to be in this long term, but to sell the platform off to somebody else. So I find that interesting.
Yeah, I want to keep the business. I want to keep the business long term. I really enjoy working on Cobra DataWorks and I love the team that we have built, but the business isn't tied to the platform that we are building. AI is such a vast space. And I'm talking to some other interesting companies right now. One is in the financial industry. They are essentially an IT consulting company that helps banks and hedge funds and companies like that set up their infrastructure in the right way.
Yep.
And they just consult with those companies and they are getting ready to build AI into their processes. And through the network that I have, I got in touch with their CEO and we're now doing a workshop where I can talk to their team to make sure that the team is on the right track with what they're doing and that they're being efficient about it. And that type of work will always continue. I love doing that. I love coaching people. I'm about to launch a mentoring program where I help developers get ready to use AI or where I help companies get AI ready in their tech. But the platform for the trucks, there are really big players in this space that can't do what we do. So
That's awesome, though.
I leave it at that.
Yeah, you have always been good at coaching and teaching, and I'm glad to see you jumping in there. I think that's where you and I are very similar. I like coaching and teaching too, as well. So I think that's the real value. Anybody can build a platform, but to do a knowledge transfer, that's really hard, I think.
Right. It
Uh,
is, and I can draw from experience now with this. Just like you, I always only teach what I know inside and out. I'm not somebody who just read a book and says, "Okay, I can teach you on this." That's dumb. But that's also why I am eyeing an exit for the AI platform, maybe for the next one that we are building there as well, because there's tons of opportunity in this space. And you can always learn new things as you use new components, as you use new approaches to this. Funny story. Yesterday on this festival, I had a test drive with an electric car. It was a Cupra Tavascan. It's not out yet, but we could test drive it there. And the guy sitting next to me from the manufacturer was actually a data scientist who was on a vacation job for the manufacturer doing those test rides.
oh wow.
And we spent the 20 minutes on the car talking about AI and data
I
science.
bet. I wish I was a bug on the wall for that conversation. And the thing is, what you're doing in AI today, what people don't realize is AI is moving so rapidly. So
Yeah,
just to put things in context for people who do simple things like buy computers and buy tablets and buy phones, I truly believe the smartphone and the computer business, and having come from that background, had been at the point where it was stagnant and going to stop. And then AI kicked around, and AI's forcing all the processing chips to be higher and all the memory to be higher. And I didn't see that one coming, to be fair. I don't think any
right.
did to this degree. So AI is kind of revolutionizing the whole tech market right now, so to speak, even from a hardware perspective.
It is. And there are two things I want to say about this, or three things actually. Let me get the first one out of the way. For everybody who's watching and not just listening, I'm holding up my Plot AI device.
Yep.
This is an AI device that attaches to my iPhone via MagSafe. It transcribes it, or it summarizes, transcribes, analyzes all the calls, all the meetings that I do. So I don't have to take notes in meetings anymore. I just get the summary from AI. This is a game changer because usually you can't record phone calls easily on mobile phones.
Yep.
You can't record you can record Teams calls and Zoom calls and things like that, but the regular good old phone call when you're driving in the car, a lead calls you or you have to call a lead because you want to use the time when you're commuting. You can't take notes because you have to steer and full self-driving isn't here yet. That is now taken care of with AI. That's the one thing. The other thing is people need to understand that AI is more than ChatGPT.
Yes.
The AI is more than writing social media posts.
Yeah.
I see so many people who they know AI is important, they don't know how to apply it to their business. And what I always say is look at the processes that take you a lot of time and a lot of manual work. One thing from the logistics meeting this morning is that they have this exchange where all the free cargo that is up for trucks to grab and then to deliver is listed, and where logistics companies list their available trucks so that people who have to ship stuff can pick their truck or order the shipment and things like that. And it is up to the dispatcher to decide whether or not an offer makes sense, whether the price is good, whether the route is feasible, with all the regulations that you have, that a trucker can only drive 4 hours at a time, then they need to make a break. They can only drive 8 hours a day. On occasions, they can drive 10 hours a day. All those things that involve human decision making and human experience. I took a photo of one of the tour offers, put it into ChatGPT, and asked ChatGPT, given these circumstances, is this a good tour to take? It did a 95% correct assessment of the tour.
Yeah.
What people need to understand, especially the solopreneurs and the business owners that are so tied up in their day-to-day, you need to get into this mindset, how can AI help me with this? And you need to start trying things out. I now have AI organize my meetings via emails. I have AI transcribe important meetings. Obviously, AI writes 90% of the code that I build for the SaaS platform. AI writes the code documentation. AI handles my invoices. There's so many different things
AI even
that
AI even does the show notes I do for this podcast. So I mean,
right.
I mean,
Yeah, you would be stupid not to use it.
my rule of thumb is, as an entrepreneur, AI aside, if you're going to do a task 2 to 3 times in one day, find a way to automate it. And
Yeah,
it's just another automation tool as far as I'm concerned.
it is. And we've got so many recurring tasks in our day-to-day that we don't realize because there is so much hectic that we aren't aware that these things are even happening. Or there's so many tough calls that you have to make as a leader in business. There's so many tough decisions that you have to make. Use AI as a brainstorming partner.
Yep.
Open up ChatGPT. You don't need to tell them all the details. Just tell the AI, this is my situation. Here's what I would do. What am I missing? What can go wrong?
Yep. And on a Pixel phone, just for interest sake, something I noticed yesterday is Gemini now lets you send it an SMS text message through Google
Ooh.
Messaging, where you can message it. My phone's coming up saying, "Go ahead and text Gemini your prompt." Like, hello.
That is nice. Yeah.
Yep.
I've done this actually. I've built a sales agent because we are still a young company and I don't have too many salespeople. What I've done is I have everything in HubSpot as a free CRM.
Yep.
My sales agent goes through the open pipeline once a week, gives me a summary of all the open deals because all the emails and stuff are in there, pulls out the objections, and puts the summary into our shared Slack channel so that everybody who's working on the deals knows exactly what to do next.
Yep. Such amazing technology. I don't even know what to say. And what we need to get off is AI is not a job killer. And I'm going to say this and say this again. AI is not a job killer. Remember when the printing press was developed and everybody in the book industry said, "Oh, we're not doing books manually. We got a problem." Guess what? Books are more plentiful than ever before. Ask Amazon. How they started their business was a book company. There are more and more, and people read more and more. And I read more and more today than I ever have. So has the printing press hurt those jobs? No, it's repositioned those jobs. And that's what AI is starting to do. It's repositioning jobs, not taking them away.
And I think that's also the job of the CEOs and of the leaders nowadays is you have to make the time to learn about AI. You don't need to understand it from the bottom up, but understand the use cases. And then you have to allocate time to somebody in your team who is already a tech aficionado, who is enjoying working this. And then they need to develop a strategy. If you don't have the capabilities in your team, get some outside help.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, your competition is already using AI. You can't help it. And it's like this hockey stick curve, right? It starts very, very slowly, and you wake up, nothing changes. You wake up, nothing changes. You wake up, nothing changes. Suddenly, boom,
Yep.
the market passed you. And then it's too late. Then you can't do anything about it, and you are out of business. And what I feel is that this automation of day-to-day work applies to everybody. So there's no excuse. I'm in this old industry. I don't need this. That's dumb. I'm working with tax accounting on automation, automating the day to day
Mhm.
in medicine, in production, in steel
Yep.
manufacturing,
Yep.
in consulting, in logistics. You name it. And if you do business with other people, if you communicate with humans, there is a way that AI can make your life easier.
Yep. So what I would say, by the way, love the hockey stick reference. You have to sneak in a Canadian reference just to make a Canadian reference.
I
But
couldn't help myself.
hey, it's okay. And for those who don't know, hockey is Canada's national winter sport. So there you go. But the industry that seems to be lagging behind is a couple. Anything to do with finances. So
Mhm.
banks, insurance companies, investment firms, they like to hide behind old ideologies and old ways of doing things. Another industry in Canada that's a big problem is real estate. My mom is 79 years old. She still has a real estate license to sell, bless her heart. She still does some selling, and what impacts a lot of the older agents, it's why they're slow to adapt, is they don't like change. And AI
Right.
bringing change like daily. And that's just the reality. And I think the finance companies need to stop hiding behind old laws and figure it out. The other side is we need to get the governments on board with laws. And that
Oh, that's you're opening a can of worms there.
I know I did.
Let let me give you one example, everybody who's listening, for realtors and everybody in finance. The single most interesting thing I get feedback on, and the single most appealing use case for AI, when I speak to people in those markets, is helping you get all the documents you need from your customers.
Yep.
If you are a realtor, somebody applies or wants to buy a home, you need to make sure that they've got their ducks in a row and they've got their things in order. So you need a few documents. Why not have an AI email your prospects, hey, we need this, that, and the other thing from you. The AI monitors your inbox, tracks the documents they have sent, analyzes if the questionnaire has been filled out properly, if they provided the necessary detail, if the bank statements they send are valid, things like that. You can outsource to AI at a very tiny fraction of investment. That's like you're talking about maybe 3 grand.
And on a
It's really cheap to
and,
build these agents.
and on
But
a
people think it's AI that automatically costs like $500,000.
yep. And on a multi-million dollar home, what's 3 grand at the end of
It's
it?
nothing. And it's a one-time thing. And then you pay like 10 euros a month for ChatGPT's API for the usage.
Yep.
And you save yourself 10 hours a week at least.
Yeah, so true. And that 10 hours a week, translate that to what you would be paid hourly, translates into 3 grand very, very quickly, my friend.
Translate that into 2 new deals per month
Yep.
because you've got more time closing.
Yep. Yep. I agree with you. Hey, and I always love talking to you. We got to do this again sooner than later, promise.
Yes, please do.
Please do. And you know where to find me, and everybody knows where to find me. How can somebody find you if they want to talk AI or projects or anything like that?
So I've got my personal website up at jankoch.co, and you'll see all the details about my mentoring and what I do in AI and things like that there. The company website right now is focused on Germany, so that's cobradataworks.de. It's 100% German. Probably not as interesting, I get that. The best place to find me on social is LinkedIn nowadays.
And Google Translate works really well to translate your company website. I need to tell you that. So there is.
Yeah, but we don't serve customers outside Germany with our consulting and the platforms right now. The mentoring I do on the personal side, that's global,
Yep.
but for the platforms we focus on Germany because that's regulation enough.
Hey, Ian, thanks a lot, a bunch, and be well. And we hope to talk to you very, very soon, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Hey everybody, Stunning Digital Marketing is your digital concierge. We help you put the pieces together to make your marketing success. Specialties we have including WordPress design and development, WordPress security, which is one of our most popular offerings, ads, and more. So if you want to succeed in the digital world, go on over to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and have a look at what we offer, and we'd be glad to help you. And let's jump on a call and make it happening. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Very special thank you to my good friend Jan for an engaging conversation about what he's doing with AI. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I love you. I miss you very much. And thanks for all the inspiration over the years and your caring, your understanding, and helping me grow as an individual. Thank you, Dad.